Welcome to the Dudes of Thread podcast. The Dudes of Thread podcast is here to open your mind when it comes to specialty embroidery, applique, patchwork, and multimedia. From ideation to design to sourcing, we want to help you help your customers elevate their merchandise.
We've done the research, made the mistakes, and are excited to share this nerdy fashion content. Join us as we decorate our way to creativity, one stitch at a time.
All right.
What's up, everyone?
Okay, we made it.
Good morning.
If you're just joining us here, oh man, we got Kingsbury Crafts rainy day in Bremerton, Washington.
Bremerton. That punk band MXPX used to have a song about Bremerton.
Yes.
It was really good.
I love MXPX. That's the chick magnet.
Yep, exactly.
Band right there. Yeah, I always liked playing in Washington, especially down, was it Pioneer Square downtown Seattle? It was always fun. Absolutely.
Yeah, everyone let us know where you're from, where you're watching from. Are you multitasking, working, and listening? I would be doing that as well if I wasn't behind this camera.
That's right. Okay, Angela's saying JP has some echo. Hey, dude, that's pay extra for that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking maybe
today we're having some technical challenges, man.
It is. I was gonna say maybe let's try. Do you have your second mic on?
Let me try.
I was gonna say maybe try one echo or take the other one off, or one mic or whatever.
The other one's down.
Is it down? Okay. Or maybe try that one instead of this one.
Test. Too loud?
No, I don't think it's loud. I think it's just,
No. I don't.
We're gonna get it dialed in. Doug's coming in from
backstage. It wasn't echoing.
Nah, not at all. And I don't hear it on my end, which is incredibly confusing. Very strange.
Test.
All right, I got John here from Fort Collins. Dude, slapback. Can we just do rockabilly? Okay. Doug, thanks for joining us. Doug sent me a file to take a look at some 3D puff embroidery. He's doubting that he had digitized, so I need to take a look at that and let him know if that's going to work or not. But well, today we've got some super fun stuff to talk about. More applique and embroidery, as you would imagine. And we got big promotions here joining us. And Rich. Yep. Angelo's letting us know what it's like in Lakewood.
Cold but sunny.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guys hear if Jeremy's still doing some mad echo?
Yep. Is that better, y'all?
Yeah, because I can't hear any of it. You sound totally fine on my end.
Yeah, it's weird. It just started.
Yeah. You don't have any speakers on in your office, right? And
No, monitors turned off. Still echoes.
Wow. That's what happens, right? Only when we go live. When we do this to the studio recordings, we never have these issues.
I know, right? Let's see.
Okay, he's gonna pop out real quick and see maybe if that'll help. I won't be surprised if he has to Yeah, good call. Make sure you don't have a tab open. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I got nothing open.
Yeah. Weird.
Well,
I wonder if there's like a loop back, something engaged on the Roadcaster. I know, right? Double the goodness. Exactly. That's what I've been saying. Usually, with vocal effects, you got to pay extra for that. Yeah, we got Scott here with Sunrise, Central Washington. Very nice. Thanks for joining us. Just letting a few more people sign on here. Okay.
Joe, do you want to give them a recap of your impressions, and then I'm going to shut down Chrome.
Yeah. Why don't you give that a whirl, and I'll talk a little bit about my trip to the Jersey Shore. Okay, so thanks all for joining with us today. So yeah, we had I had never been to the Impressions actually in Atlantic City, so I wanted to go and see what some of our good East Coast folks were working on. It was amazing. I mean, it was great. There's just a lot of good talent out there, and I had had one of those trips where it's got a little bit of a black cloud hanging over me, kind of during the whole trip. It was one of those like really quick 48-hour trips, fly out there and then teach my class and basically fly back within 2 days. So but I will say that I had an absolute blast. There was a lot of good questions. I'd say that at par with everything else, a lot of challenges. We've got the same kind of reactions that I get from folks that are asking about different types of threads, and when I would present that, it just it always landed very well with the crowd. They're super impressed with these are the threads I can use in my machine, and yeah, of course you send around the samples and their just mind is blown. They're just like, this is amazing. So it was a really good validating trip to see so many people that need the help and they need the inspiration. And when I left there, I made sure that I even asked specifically, does everybody feel inspired? Does anybody feel lost? And they were just like, no, we have a much better grasp of what to do, how to do it, and the questions to ask, so they know they can go into the next stages of their projects with confidence. So of course, every time that happens, I feel really good about my position because I'm helping them get to the next level. But obviously there's not as many vendors out on the floor. I did do a LinkedIn live while I was there, just to kind of show some of the vendors that were there. But you got your San Mars and SNS, Lane 7 obviously handing out bags. They're definitely putting somebody's kid through college handing out bags, that's for sure. So it was good. Not as many vendors, but they still had some really good ones on display. Obviously, I believe Barrett's based out of Cleveland, so Barrett had a really good embroidery, setup there. And one of the things I really dug too is they had a lot of food trucks inside the facility, so you really had a good pick of some different. Well, it seemed like 3 or 4 different types of hot dogs, which was very, very East Coast, for that genre, but it was a lot of fun. So got back, and still getting folks reaching out on LinkedIn and asking for help, and actually that kind of leads us to what we have today, which is a lot of fun. We actually have our embroidery an applique document that we wanted to show today, because it has been spawned off of the previous show that we did, where we had a lot of folks asking specifically my buddy Jason too, really kind of keyed off on some focus regarding how to sell and get this out to your customers, these ideas and how to do it and what to do and questions to ask and how to get on board with your vendors, etc. So this was a lot of fun to basically create this document. And let's see, if you're in the audience actually listening, maybe we can test Jeremy's mic one more time, see if it's still echoing.
Good morning.
So
any luck?
Hopefully we got a little luck. If not,
echoing.
If not, I guess I'll do the talking today, huh? I don't do a very good impression of Jeremy, I don't think.
Hey, go talk to myself. Same.
Man. All right. All right, we'll get it figured out. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do today is start sharing a little bit of a document here. 2 seconds.
I got nothing, Doug. I've done everything that is possible.
Yeah. It's okay, though. We got it. We'll figure it out. So in the, let's see, let me get this particular part of our screen shared here. So in the event of producing Applique, a big struggle, and this is actually, it takes it back to like one of the first, I would say the first year or two that actually Jeremy and I met. Jeremy started Amber, and one of the big things that he wanted was, he wanted to, because I was working for a company called Fabtex at the time, and Jeremy had a desire, because Jeremy knew about it, but what he didn't know was the best way to go about showing the customers a specific document or some sort of, how could I put this, some sort of cheat sheet, if you will, sales sheet, that showed to his customers what could actually be done. And so we worked on that for him. And I just feel like that particular, we're going to call it a deck today, that particular type of deck is something that's very valuable. So what spun the creation of this particular deck was that specific desire to want to show our customers exactly what we've got going on here. So let me share a screen here, if I can. Yeah, so this particular document that we've created is really going to show not just the craft of being able to show Applique just in general, but what is it and what does it do? What can it do for me, and all the terminology, etc. So what we've done is we've created a document that allows, if you left this behind or again, digitally sent this to your customer, it really shows the step 1, step 2, step 3 of an applique. And I'll actually zoom in a little bit on this because I think it's really fun to kind of show the basics of it. And if you're out there and this is watered down, I understand, but remember, this is for your customer's eyes to be able to see this and feel the process and understand that this is why it's an elevated process. And that particular process is very simple when you're talking about a guide stitch, so a trace stitch or a show stitch for step 1. And that shows, in this example here on the left, it shows just a really basic tonal colored stitch. So you want to try to match that stitch color to the fabric base that you're sewing this down onto. Step 2 is actually the fabric placement. Now, usually that fabric placement has a little bit of a slight adhesive backing to it. You could spray it, or it could just have fabric that already has some sticky adhesive on the back of it. And then, of course, that will just help it hold it in place. And I'll tell you, you don't need much of this particular adhesive. It will hold very well, long enough on the machine to get a tack on it. And the definition of a tack would really just be, you really want to make sure you have at least one pass of a running stitch to make that work. If you're going to only do like the minimal amount of tack, The rule there usually is 2 pass running. Just go around it twice and make sure that holds. If you're going to do a bean, try to get in the habit of letting it run around once, and then do the bean. And then, of course, make your running and your bean the same stitch length, so that you don't have anything poking out the bottom that might be a different stitch length. Just good rule of thumb, practice. And then, of course, step forward is going to be your final decoration. And what I tell people on the final decoration is, hey, once it's tacked, you can do whatever you want to do. I mean, you can, put all kinds of different decoration over the top of this particular circle applique. This is just a piece of what looks like classic white or ivory felt, craft felt. Nothing too crazy. It's been laser cut. So, actually, Jeremy, did you have another test?
Yeah, but I'm getting that go.
No, you're getting it. Okay. Oh, we're in tech hell today. Sorry guys, thanks for bearing with us. And so that's kind of the gist of the specific applique, just as is. If there's there are some folks out there I've seen that will kind of, I don't want to say skip, but they'll do a little bit of I want to say shortcuts, because I don't want to insult anybody, but they'll actually go and tack it down and then try to cut around it. And it's not that you can't do that, you can do it, but I've never been able to do that. Obviously in a production scenario where you need hundreds of them done, and I've never been able to do it in such a way where I could sell it. There seems to always be fabric sticking out somewhere if you've got a satin stitch holding the edges down or something like that. So it's always good to try to invest in some form of cutting. I had quite a few people ask me this last weekend in Atlantic City, is it okay? Is it a good idea to have some sort of a Cricut machine, with a flatbed cut the fabric that I want to use? I'm like, absolutely, whatever you can get to help you cut, to do what you need to do is going to be very beneficial and advantageous. So there's some wonderful craftspeople, in their craft room or their garage doing some amazing things right now. So don't knock it till you try it, right? And so as we get deeper into the applique document, what we're trying to illustrate here is that there are a lot of different looks and feels, and we're trying to do our best to compartmentalize those looks and those feels. Especially here on, like, for example, felt that we just showed. Felt is a very nice fabric. It can be layered. It is a little squishy, and tolerances need to be, as such to where you have enough outside, between the distance between the tack stitch and the actual show stitch. You need to have some distance there. Felt does have a sponge quality to it, and when you start to tack it down, it will change its shape while it sews a bit. Almost, I don't say shrink, but it will start to jump around on you a little bit. So felt, you just gotta, make sure that it's gonna be there. When you actually go to tack it down, you got enough meat on the bone. What I really love too is our wonderful art director Angelo put a little border meter on here, which is really fun. It really shows that on your edges, being clean. It shows, basically the 3 types of edges, if you will, edge characteristics that are going to happen based on the particular fabric. So I'll actually bring up a Sunrise Tactical just made a comment here talking about he's using a 60-watt CO2 laser, which is great. I mean, CO2 lasers are amazing. They really get the job done. They are the powerhouse of applique cutting. Even a 40-watt will get the job done for general purpose. Oh yeah, absolutely. I know folks that are using, small little applique cutters down to maybe 10, 15 watts, and they're able to cut right through it because their machine goes slow enough. They don't need to blast it. In fact, and of course, I'm sure Sunrise Tactical, I'm sure you guys would know all about, especially like with felts, more passes, less power. Do everything you can not to scorch and singe the edges so the edges can remain as soft as possible but still have clean, edges. So that's the felt is a really awesome tool. I don't like to use more than 2 layers, like I said, just because the sponge characteristics of felt can really cause some distortions, in on those letters as you sew it down. Of course, the smaller the letter, the worse it gets. So, we do have noted on here like limited detail. There's only so much detail you can really get out of felt before your image does start to kind of get a little out of hand. Meaning, you want to use these for like general larger shapes or very predictable shapes, really, really fine detail. And felt is almost, not as manageable when you're actually trying to place like a tiny little dotted I or something like that onto your lettering. But going off here to the side here, we got cotton twill, which is a really, really standard, I guess, in frayed edge desired applique, look and feel. Cotton twill has just to kind of like clear the air a little bit. Poly twill has also been coined in the past as tackle twill, and it's going to be shiny. It's going to be more like a sports licensed look. And that particular look is not necessarily bad. It's just, it does call for, clean edge, no fray. Remember that when laser cuts through synthetic fibers, those particular fibers will singe and melt. They will not, since it's not organic, it won't fray and get soft. So just keep that in mind. Going over to cotton twill, we're basically going to lose the sheen to that particular fabric, and we're going to introduce, matte, sheen or finish to the fibers, as well as a bit more of a vintage. So the more you wash it, the more vintage it's going to look. It's going to take on the fluffy edges of the applique will take on more of that fabric color, self-fabric color. Or if there's like small little felt, like pilling that kind of happens, during the process, it will take on some of those fibers as well. Again, all contributing to the same vintage look. So cotton twill is really awesome. And of course you can see the border meteor up over here, lots of fray. So, it's really cool. In fact, is this Jimmy over here with Atomic Child? Cause I think he's got it. He said it best with this one emoji right here. Right?
Test. How we same
old echo. Let's see here. Down here, poly twill. Poly twill's known for its zigzag stitches. Honestly, that's the least amount of stitches you can put down to hold a letter down. So poly twill's kind of known for that. Football letter, jersey letters, And then, canvas and twill, they're really, the only difference really is just how it's woven, but canvas typically comes in a little bit on the heavier side than twill, but at the end of the day, you can still get some pretty similar looks from both pieces. I would say if you've got a piece that you're working on and you found that one color you need is in canvas and the other color's in twill, by all means use both. But this is a really good example of this particular, let me zoom in here a little bit more so you guys can see this guy. Let's see here. I've got this one right over here is really going to be nice because it's showing two things. Basically, it's showing canvas as a top layer, and then it looks like a cotton twill here on the bottom layer, and we're holding it down with, looks like a 2-pass faux chain stitch. So that's a lot of fun right there. Yes. So Jimmy's over here telling us the only thing better than hearing Jeremy once is hearing him twice. I totally agree. I completely agree. Yes. Yeah, sorry guys, we got a little bit of technical issues here, but we're gonna get through this. So we've got Let's see here. Jersey. We'll talk about jersey a little bit, because jersey's kind of a strange fabric. It's the only fabric we're gonna have here on our situation here, where we've got curl. Actually, just jersey naturally will curl. There are some things you can do to help out with jersey curl, and that is basically when you have it in its rolled out form, you can actually spray some starch on it, and you could just let it sit and dry, and starch will help it to stay flat. I know that if you're in a hurry, you can cut out sections of it and starch it and then heat press it, and that really helps keep it super flat. So when it goes into a laser cutting scenario, it will continue to stay flat. Typically, jersey, single layer jersey is going to be, a pretty bad. It's going to be very difficult to handle. So it could really curl up on you really fast, especially as soon as it hits, like some adhesive hits it. So usually, if you can adhere a couple of layers of jersey to your project, it will help out a lot to do it that way. But and that leads us here to our specialty fabrics. I mean, I don't know if you guys have our viewers have checked this out, but oh my gosh, there's so many amazing and creative fabrics that we've seen out there, between something very traditional, between football, basketball, like textures. It's kind of like vinyl, like it's got like a woven backer, but the face of it looks like football, pigskin, things like that. And then I've seen all kinds of animal furs, faux furs, cheetah print furs, things like that. I got Atomic Child over here asking about what's my favorite. Gosh, that's a really, really good question. I guess it kind of depends on what it calls for, but I'd have to say some of my favorite materials to work with probably got to be like the cotton canvas and the cotton twills, just because I've had such awesome time with them over the years, and they usually do some really cool stuff. But case in point, I mean, we've got some really cool examples here about, like, just for example, this 5, I think it's a 5, but it just really, the way they did this was so cool. They hand painted or hand painted and then screen printed this fabric, and then they went in and cut it out and sewed it on, and just the edges are just so frayed and fluffy and awesome. I know, it's just so much fun. The felt here on the left is also a lot of fun, just because it's got felt on top, twill on bottom. It looks like it hasn't been washed yet, because I can still see the clean edges down here, but I can see the potential with the repair stitches, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, this guy here on the right, this leather on the right, is really, really cool, because I love how you can kind of weave those pieces into shape and then sew them out. I just how is that nothing wrong with that. It's just, I love it. I love that, the creativity, such a small touch but such a big result. So traditionally here on the left, we've got your zigzag going around some poly twill or tackle twill, if you will. And this, let's see here. Yes, the TB does have to be hand placed. I got Jimmy asking about being hand placed. Yeah, most of these are going to be hand placed. But yeah, you're right. They're going to have to pre-assemble it before they can put it in there. But yeah, that's absolutely right. Let's see here. We've got this, the A and the 87. See, this is a great example of when you screen print something for a base, you can put your applique over the top of it. It doesn't have to line up perfectly, in order for this to work. So the pillbox is not really completely lined up. I will say though, this is, and I'm not knocking, was this American Eagle, I believe. I'm not knocking American Eagle. It's just that in reality, this stitch right here wouldn't be there, because if this top left portion of the pillbox fell off, then you wouldn't have stitching, you need some repair stitches holding it on, but you wouldn't put that there. But that's just the arrogant Abercrombie, in me talking that wouldn't normally happen. And then, so over here on the right, see, this is a technique that I'm going to have to spend some time showing, like, how this is done. But basically, there's a couple different ways you could do this technique here on the right, where you actually have the faded, the goal here is to try to make it look like a letter was there. And that particular technique, there's a couple different things you can do. One is you can actually make a stencil, like a template stencil that sits on top of the graphic, and then you can spray it with some there's some various types of like enzyme sprays or dye stripping agents that you can use. You do have to hazmat up, because it's aromatically it's very toxic and dangerous. But what's really cool about this technique is that once you get it right, it really looks like the letter fell off in some areas, and that's a hard look to produce. And then just, there's just chenilles, there's more printed twills, super thick felts over here. So we're just showing our document for applique, and we've basically created the same thing, but on like the embroidery side of it. So we're showing our customers what it looks like, what embroidery is developed from sketch to vector to getting it digitized, and then of course actually pushing it out to see the first actual sew out. So we have some foundation stitches, we're going to call them, just because they are the more of like the basic stitches of how to assemble these things. So we did our best with some stitch count meters, just to show, like, if you were to go after one of these techniques, what kind of stitch count that you would expect to run into. And so bean stitches are obviously multiple pass running stitches, but I like this example because it really shows let me see if I can zoom in just a skosh more here. Yeah, it really shows the variance between a running stitch and a bean stitch, joining it. And this bean stitch is like, man, it's a lot of passes. That looks like it's 7 pass, 9 pass, a lot of passes, as opposed to maybe like this 2-pass running that's joining it. It could only be like a 1-pass running. But anyway, that's a really interesting technique for just outline the letters, but it's very effective how that can be used. And then of course, just the same, we've got over here a satin stitch, which is one of the most traditional stitches that digitizers use for lettering, and of course this is a fill stitch inside of here, but the outside is capped off with the satin. And satins are clean, they are very clean. That's medium-ish amount of stitches. Stitch lengths, you do have some limits on satins. Once it gets to about 11-12 millimeters, it will start to do some like some limitations with your machine. But for the most part, satin stitches are very clean. A lot of very, very few stitch files I've ever seen don't have satins in them. So that's, let's see here. Yeah, so we got zigzag stitches. We showed you some of the zigzags going around the poly twill. And so that was a lot of fun. All right, Jeremy, it sounds like you're trying a new mic. Go for it. It's still blaring at you. Test. You get an echo for yourself? No? I don't hear any. Maybe our audience can see if you've got it. version says the same. Oh no. Oh no.
It's plugged in direct to the computer.
Yeah, can't get any better than that, huh? So there's some looping or something going on with probably the audio interface. We'll get it figured out for the next time. On our zigzag stitch, we've got, we showed this on the twill part of it as well. And just curious, anybody see, maybe Joe's speaker? I don't, Keith. I don't actually. I have,
Test.
I've got my, my mix cast over here, and I just have my IEMs and my microphone. That's all I have. I do have a full studio in here, but I got everything else. I know it didn't happen last time. I know. Yeah. Well, we're gonna get it fixed though for the next time. We're definitely gonna get it fixed. So what we're gonna do here with this document, we want to show this to everybody just for inspiration, because this is what we're gonna provide, to our customers, and we wanted folks to see what it looks like in context, especially as we're showing it off. What I really like too is with the chain stitches, satin puff. I think the hardest thing to do with this document that we went back and forth on a lot was what do we call things, and what's the actual name? What's the best name for it? Because there's so many different names that pop up. So satin puff, really also known as 3D puff. There's nothing special about it. Just has that 3D puff look to it. But it really helps to elevate and make that particular look just really stand out, especially on hats. It was very popular to have it pop up off the hat. And then of course, you have your whip stitches, which is basically just, oh yeah, I love our description here. Satin stitches, ugly older Uncle Rico is what a whip stitch is, right? It has irregular edges, multiple pass segments, which make this stitch technique emulate a hand-sewn yarn look. And that is definitely a whip stitch. It's basically just a satin stitch, but has multiple passes per segment, instead of just, satin stitches kind of being one pass and then, dense stitching. So the tick stitch is a beam, but it has a little tick in between it. Again, low stitch count. So there's accents, there's repairs, there's just all types of things here that are just, what can I say? Lots and lots of fun. And then we're talking about, you guys have probably seen this graphic several times, especially in some of my seminars. And basically it's a graphic that shows that there's more than one way to embroider. You don't have to use straight embroidery thread, which you can see here on the left, which is super clean looking, and there's no little hairs or frays or anything. It's just this super clean embroidery thread over here. But if you were to go into sewing thread territory, you could get a lot more of this vintage fray, a little bit of fuzz. It shows more of a matte finish. And then of course when you work all the way up to a Burma Milana scenario, then you get a real fat woolly look into that genre as well. So that's basically it. You got the sheen versus flat, embroidery versus flat or matte, and then more gallery pieces here. You guys have probably seen a lot of these that we show in our previous shows. So what do you do with a document like this, right? What do? You provide this to your customer. It helps them to see what is possible in our industry. Going back to at least what we teach, there's nothing wrong with left chests and hats. These are going to be the staples, the bread and butter of a lot of direct embroidery. But when your customer has that budget, they have those extra marketing dollars to spend, and to produce something that's really going to be long-term, meaningful purchases, this is the way to go about it. And they have a document where they can find that inspiration and find ways to say, you know what, let's take that logo that we've spent all this time and money on the branding and pushing it out to the people, and let's make that something that will be on a garment, almost like enshrined in its own way, to, you know, stand the test of time. We want it's our goal at Amber to create garments that don't end up, you know, getting given away, or that don't end up, you know, at the Goodwill. We want those particular pieces to continue to resonate with the customer, and that's what we're all about here. So that's the point of this particular document. So we've got a ton of work into this, as you can see, lots and lots of just scraping, really. I mean, a lot of these pieces, I remember Jeremy showing me these when he felt inspired by them. Gosh, I can remember some of these pieces going back 10, 12 years ago. When he first showed it off. So anyway, that's what this particular document is for. Love to hear your comments on it, and maybe you guys have one or have some great ideas on what you've done to help your customers understand what is out there, right? How to get it sold. There's some amazing creativity out there, and gosh, I wish there was some sort of a standard document that we could all just use and say, kind of like a Pantone, but with techniques, and that would just be so much fun to show that. So but thanks for sticking. I know, sorry, thanks for sticking with me on all this. We're just trying to oh yeah, now I can hear myself echo in yours. Yeah, weird. Let's see here, I know. Yeah, we've got let's see here, I'll take some comments here. Yes, I don't, that's all I have. Yeah, we both have in-ears, and there's no ambient speakers, and when we record like this, and typically we don't have any issues with the live settings we did last time were exactly the same. So it's kind of a strange thing that it's looping back through for some reason. Very strange. But we're gonna let's see here. I was hoping we had some questions or comments here if anybody's watching. Sorry if you guys had to take off because the echo. Let's see here. We've got Angelo talking here about the double layers felt with twill. Yeah, Angelo, the double layers is really nice, especially when you have like your base layer is larger than your top layer. So if you've ever wanted to kind of experiment with distress layers, you always want to try and chew the top layer and leave the bottom one as the one that's got the most base, for you. It's a lot of fun to do that. Classy. So we are going to, let's see here. I think I have this guy. Just let me do it. Yeah, I showed this last time, this particular one, and what I like about this example here is we've got repairs, we've got some slight distressing around the outside of the felt, and of course the faux chain stitch running around the outside of it. So we've got a couple questions here. So Doug, are these slides going to be available? We're working on that, Doug. We're not really sure how we're going to make this available to other folks just yet, but we're definitely working on it. And yeah, we're getting some questions about where to find it. So Yeah, Angelo, that's a great question. So applique, is it more affordable than if you were to just do full embroidery? That's a good question. The easiest way I can answer that question is when it's all computed at the end of the day, it kind of ends up becoming a wash. So if you have, if you don't want to actually do the fabric cutouts and you want to just do direct embroidery to represent essentially the same thing, would it be more cost effective to do applique versus direct embroidery? And the answer I would say is, it really depends, because just for example, if you had 17 letters of direct embroidery, you would have let's see here, the best way for me to describe it, if you had 17 letters direct embroidery, you'd have a ton of stitches, but it would still be, if you just let it run, it would still be less work than if you had to lay down 17 letters. But if you had something like this, we're only laying down 3 letters for SXM or something just with a few letters, this stitch file I don't think was maybe 5,000 stitches or 6,000 or something like that. It wasn't very much. So in this case, this might probably be a little bit better than a wash to lay down 3 letters of applique and just let them sew down. But remember that you also have the time for actually laying the letters down. That's going to eat into a little bit of that direct embroidery profit. So I think it's more the best way for me to explain the overall value is that yes, it might be a wash, but the applique definitely will show higher end products at the end. So something to think about if you're again, you've got that budget to work with and you're kind of juggling between, do I save a little bit of cash and order more direct embroidery versions of it, or do I spend the extra on the applique? And it's really going to depend on how many single letter laydowns or shape laydowns that you're going to have before it's all over. So so something definitely to think about. So anyway, thanks everybody for sticking with us here, especially during some of these technical issues that we had to mess with here today. But I'm gonna put Jeremy back here on stage because even though his echo is is a bit wonky, but definitely thanks so much everybody for joining us. We're gonna get our technical stuff figured out. It's not gonna be a big deal, and we'll let when that happens, we're gonna go right back on and provide some more content here. But thanks for sticking with us. I really appreciate it. Jimmy, you want to echo us out?
Oh yeah.
That's great.
Man, it took me 12 years for that document to be finished, and when it comes time to promote, the universe is laughing.
Yeah, right. Exactly. We're gonna get it figured out. So, yeah. Well, thanks so much, everybody, for joining us. We really do appreciate all of you, and we're gonna jump back on the saddle here in no time. So, please go out and have a great rest. Yeah, thank you so much, Angelo. Everybody have a great rest of your week. And Sunrise Tacticals, very kind of you. Thanks so much. We're gonna come back even stronger next time. So thanks so much for everything. You guys have a great rest of your week, and stitch on and fashion to the people.
I'm gonna delete this video from YouTube and record it.
Absolutely. Everybody have a great rest of your day.